The smartest guys around are about to break it down.
Oh, yeah.
Like they've won the game a million times.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Well, actually, they didn't.
Yeah, they never really game. They never really won the game at all, did they?
Oh, they never win.
Stephen and Rob went out of town. Know what they are talking about. They
Yeah, that's
know
right.
it all.
They know what they're talking about. Yeah.
Yes. Stephen, tonight is
tonight.
officially the night Survivor 43 has started.
I feel like it's been going on for like 6 weeks now.
No, this is it.
No?
This is it. We're here.
Yeah.
We're here, baby.
I really enjoy. I like the first few episodes of Survivor 43.
I thought it was slow.
It was been slow.
We were
It's been
going up the roller coaster.
Well,
up. That's a Gabler. Ah!
the thing we've been promised this Baka blow up for a long time, and I was getting really worried because it looked like the merge was
Bacalash.
coming. Bacalash, that's very good. And the alligator was, sleeping beneath the surface as the alligators do. I was worried that the merge, they're all going to be on the same page. And no, they truly it was great. It was great. It was everything you could have hoped for.
Yes. So, Gabler brought his gas can and lit a match, and we had a wild merge. Or was this a merge episode? Is this the Earn the Merge?
Is this the merge boot? Is Ellie the merge boot? That's a big,
I don't know.
That's a big question.
I don't know.
Think she is. Is she on the jury?
No, she's not. She's not.
Not
So I don't know. Is next week's episode the merge vote? I mean, look, this was as far as I'm concerned. Like, this is the merge episode. So can we stop with the earn the merge? Like, they're gonna dangle it. Like, you gotta earn your little merge here. Here's the you want this? You
have to earn everything in
this
this game, Rob.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, some things you have to earn for sure. Like,
merge. Daddy, can I have my allowance, please? Please, can I have the different colored buff?
I like the earn the merge twist. I'm gonna be honest. I like 6 people are up for elimination. It makes it very clear, where the pressure is. Like when it was 13 people, it was like, it's too chaotic, and then it's like, it almost becomes fewer people, because it's 13 people. Then suddenly it's like everyone dog piles on one person 4 people's names were read today. That's fantastic.
I do. I like the twist. I hate the branding or you didn't earn your buff yet. Like, look, just like this is good. This is I like this idea of, okay, these people are safe. They got rid of the stuff that we didn't like. It's just that I think that earning the merge is dumb.
I mean, I don't know. It doesn't bother me. I'd say it's a fun. I like it. It's a fun mechanic. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you not like it because it rhymes?
Earn the merge rhymes.
There's like an assonance to the earn and merge of the the vowel sounds.
The only earn I care about is where they put the votes, Steven. Okay. All right. That being said, we've got a lot to unpack here tonight. We're going to go through our bags and dump them all out and talk about everything that happened.
My bag.
Of course, we've got, I'm so excited to talk about this episode of Survivor. Of course, we'll have a great exit interview tomorrow.
You don't know that. You don't know. She could be a dud.
I guess so. I will get the chance to speak with Ellie coming up on Thursday. My winner pick, RIP. Okay. She is out of the game and it was a good run. I'm sure she's going to have a lot to talk about. And Stephen, wait till you hear who we're going to talk to on Thursday night on the episode recap. Not long.
Oh. Check
this out.
Whoa!
3 Fields will be joining me to talk about this episode. And so we could not be more excited. What a great episode to talk about with Sheree.
Yeah, very
and
fun.
So we will have Sheree Fields joining me on Thursday, that the patrons, as always, can join us live for that one. That's going to be at 6 p.m. Eastern. It'll be up in the podcast feed for everybody else later on Thursday night. And then we've got a great feedback show this week. Karishma will join me on the Survivor Feedback Show this week. So lots of fun stuff to talk about. But Stephen, I guess let's get to this big merge vote, and what an explosion.
So fun
that we have the merge feast.
Yeah.
And at the feast, Gabe was like, by the way, Ellie went through my bag.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because it opened with sort of like, I thought like Ryan was being set up to be sort of a buffoon, right? Because he said this thing about, this can be the final 7 right here. Like, we just need to like find a target, and everyone was trying to protect their friends. And, you know, it was a little bit of, you know, hemming and hawing. And Gabe was like, let's go for Ellie. She went through my bag. I'll never trust her again. You know, he was just trying to be decisive. He was just trying to be, you know, a proactive team player for this new final 7.
Poor Janine. She was like, had like orange juice, and she was just like, blah, 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 blah. Like, just nervously drinking.
Like Ellie.
Yeah. And that was just such a wild moment. And you know, again, I thought Ellie was a great character to have on the show. I thought she was playing really hard. Disappointed to see her go in this spot. I think that's going to be really interesting. So many different ways to talk through this. I want to talk a little bit about Ellie up front, because I think that there might have been more here than just Gabler throwing her name out there. I think Ellie might have been a little sloppy with the way that she ultimately played this. And I want to get your perspective on this. I think that you don't want to be the person who not only is throwing out a name, throwing out multiple names.
Like 3 names. She came out so hot where she was saying, you know, on the one hand, she was telling everybody, oh yeah, Cody's the boot. And then she was saying, no, we're splitting between James and Cassidy. You know, just like too much information all coming from the same source, you know, and like clearly she was excited about like getting to pull off like a big plan. But, you know, the idea that, I mean, even just the very fundamental part of that of, okay, Cody is going to be okay with us making him the default boot. Even when she said that was like the very first step of her plan. Cody's going to be the default boot. He'll be fine with that. Like, no, he won't. Like, step 1, nobody is fine with being the default boot. Nobody wants to hear that. Like, make yourself the default boot. You know, like, don't ever tell somebody else that they're the default boot, because they're going to, and that didn't even really blow up in her face as much. I mean, it just like the very basics of kind of her strategy was just like, as though everybody was a chess piece. This is my puppet master. And then I, you know, kind of went to the chess pieces as though everybody was a chess piece and she could move them all around. But like, you can't just like tell someone they're the default. And then she goes to these other people, you know, her whole plan depends on nobody else talking, you know, they're only listening to Ellie and nobody else is exchanging stories.
And if these were people that she had been working with for a while, that would be one thing. I mean, these are people who are like, for all intents and purposes, strangers. That I think that the way that you do want to be playing this is, okay, first off, a lot of like, okay, what do you want to do?
Right.
And then ultimately, you know, when you get to a name, I think you want to sort of be like, okay, sort of like straight up with the people that you're working with. And then to everybody else, like, I don't know what's happening. What are we doing? Who is it? What do you think? What do you think we should do? Could you talk a little bit about in Survivor Second Chances? You know, like when the merge is coming together, right? You know, like when there are people that are at the bottom, like you're not like giving them a name to vote for, right?
Well, what do you mean?
So you're part of a big group of people in Survivor Second Chances, like at the merge. There's a lot of plans talking on.
I mean, I don't know. Everyone is putting forth like, their things and like making the case for why their thing is the real. I mean, Survivor Second Chance is very different because it was a 2-tribe, you know, that then swapped and then into the merge tribe. So most people had the connections were more intimate here than
true.
You know, most people had played with more with each other more than, and there was like at least the pretend alliances between people. Here there's no even pretend alliances, right? I mean, other than, you know, the Vessi and the Baka tribes having whispered to each other at one challenge, there was like basically nothing beyond that. And especially now that Coco, you know, isn't even the largest tribe, you know, Baka's the largest tribe. And that, you know, that could very well have been in the calculation too, you know, with Coco and Vessi, you know, thinking, hey, like, let's even the numbers out, you know, let's take out a Baka here. I mean, it was not out of character for Ellie, right? Because that's sort of how she treated Gabler, as like, this is this fun piece, and I'm going to like pull all kinds of antics with my pieces, you know, rather than this is a guy, he wants dignity. He's playing the game hard his way. And I have to respect that, you know, like her, like kind of like trying to pull the wool over her eyes and then going back with Janine and like chuckling about it. It's just like, you could see that kind of sense with her of, oh my gosh, I'm playing a big game. And then naturally that's going to run up against resistance to the real people who you think are just the pawns in your game.
To me, the arc of Ellie's game is this amazing Greek tragedy to behold, where that she comes into the game, you know, fully formed as a Survivor player. She is raring to go.
Right.
Gabler blows the first challenge. She is the person that when Gabler says, you know what, I blew it, I'm just going to play my shot in the dark tonight, I'm not going to play my thing.
Right.
She's the one that says, no, Gabler, let's talk this through. Let's talk this through. Okay. Mariah is like, hey, let's do a women's thing. Ellie is the person that's like, no, actually, let's get Mariah out. Let's keep Gabler. Gabler, that's my guy. I'm going to keep him in. Then so she has Gabler, loyal ally. Then he's got an idol. Can't leave well enough alone. Gonna go through his bag to concoct this whole fake plan, and now completely, alienates Gabler, turns him around, and now the person that she saved became the person who makes it a mission in the game. I'm going to, at all costs, blow up Ellie's game.
Wow. The fatal flabler.
Yeah.
Every person in a Greek tragedy has a fatal
Mariah
flabler.
At home watches this episode like,
well, yeah. And you know, we were talking last week about how
very good.
Ellie let Janine go get the idol. Hey, that didn't work out for her either.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she was like, oh, you go get the beware advantage and I'll cover for you. I'll stay here. Should have gone. She should have gone herself. Because I mean, if Ellie had that, I think Ellie would have played the idol for herself in that.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? But
for Janine, okay. Do you think that Janine should have played the idol for Ellie?
No. Here's why. I thought about this. My first thought was like, oh my God, you're losing your closest ally in the game. What a terrible choice. And everybody knows Janine has an idol, right? Or people do know Janine has an idol.
Yeah.
Because Gabler told a lot of people that. Mm-hmm. I think that this is actually good for Janine because Ellie was getting so much heat. And if Janine saved Ellie, the target very well could have been Janine next. You know, I think when someone like is the target and kind of gets saved for whatever reason, sometimes the target will shift. People will be like, she was the target last time. Like, let's move on to the new thing. And Janine very well could have been the target in that case. Now she doesn't have an idol. She just went against all of the will of the group. Hey, Baca's still super like a mess. You know, Gabler still hates all of you. Let's do Janine now. Meanwhile, like a lot of the threat of Janine is this alliance with Ellie. Losing Ellie, like inherently makes Janine less of a threat. And that same kind of force of, that same kind of sense of momentum where, okay, like we got Ellie last week, this week it's Janine. Or we tried for Ellie last week. I'm sorry. Now she's, I think we'll like inherently move the target next week, right? Like, okay, we went for one of those Baca people last week. Now it's going to be somebody else. So I think Janine is going to be in actually a relatively safe position now because people are going to be less worried about her. They just took out her big pair. So like, whatever, like now we're on to the new drama, that was last week's drama. Let's do the new drama. So I think this is actually a very good situation for Janine.
So now Janine has an idol. Do you think, and people know she has an idol, if it was just that she was partners with Ellie was the big threat, Ellie is gone, okay, bigger fish to fry. But the fact that Janine has the idol, do you feel like that is maybe worse for her game? And I know that's very counterintuitive, but does the fact that she has the hidden immunity idol, does that make her a bigger threat, or that it's fine because then, okay, she'll play the idol no matter what. And then when she doesn't have the idol, people won't worry about her.
I think people will probably be like, my guess is people will think, and I do, I mean, I hear you, when people know about an idol, that person then becomes a much bigger target. But there's also a lot of hardware out there, right? Like, so there's 3 idols out there. There's there's the steal a vote. So I think that maybe because they just got rid of Ellie this episode, there will be a sense of, Janine's not playing super hard like Ellie was. We just dealt with that trauma. You know, she's got an idol. We don't want to like risk our new thing getting blown up. Like, let's just leave that till later. And she'll be safe for at least a couple of episodes. I could be totally wrong, but like, that's my read. What do you think, Rob?
For Janine, I wonder, like, it's in the new year. We've seen also that people aren't as concerned about somebody with an idol at times. Other times, like, they're very focused on it. Like a Xander,
right, Xander
nobody was worried.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody was super worried about him. I think it really comes down to, what can how much from Sammy and Gabler's perspective is Ellie the mastermind and Janine is guilty by association, and can she like come out of that and like find a new home? I think that's really going to come out.
I feel like this was like them purging that issue, them purging that drama. So do you think Janine should have played her idol for Ellie?
I don't think she should have. It's the final 13. Why? What does it really change?
Right.
It's interesting. Like, do you think Janine knew that Ellie was going to go home, or do you think it was a true
that's the other
blindsight?
thing. Like,
she didn't have to vote. She didn't have to vote.
They might have actually, they might have thought the numbers were with them.
But lots of survivors have feigned surprise when something happens.
But
she
Owen
seems
voted
so
with
shocked.
them, right? Like, I think Owen would not have voted with them. So Owen voted with Ellie and Janine in their sort of imagined vote split. Between
if Janine had
James
a vote,
and Cassidy,
Owen and Ellie were 2 votes for James.
Right. Sammy and Gabler both voted for Ellie. So obviously Sammy and Gabler knew that, and I thought it was interesting too. And I'm curious what your perspective is. Like, what does this mean for Owen? Is he, we've seen this kind of like Baca guys alliance, with Gabler, Owen, and Sammy. And it seemed like, Owen and Sammy were kind of working together this episode, but they voted separately. What do you make of that, Rob?
I think that Owen is in a fluid enough position that he will be able to I don't think he has bad relationships with Sammy and Gabler. Like, I think he was like kind of like the guy in the middle, and maybe that this might ultimately be his fault in the game that he didn't commit hard enough to the winning side. But I think he kind of waited to see which way it was going to go. He may have backed the wrong horses going into this, but I do not think that he is going to be the next target.
Yeah. I mean, do you think he knew what was up?
No, I mean, he probably didn't if he voted with Ellie. This was the winning coalition tonight. It was Cassidy, James, and Ryan from Coco. Carla voted for Owen, so I think that might have been the one person in case they play the idol.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or the shot in the dark.
Or the shot in the dark. Also, then Cody, then the 3 guys from Vesey, which were Cody, Dwight, and
Jesse.
Sorry, Cody. Dwight, okay, sorry, Jesse didn't have a vote. Jesse would have voted with them. Didn't have a vote. And then Gabler and Sammy.
But so the person you didn't mention is also like the most confusing vote of all, which is Noelle voted for Cassidy. Please explain that to me.
Maybe that she was with the women. I mean, is it possible that Noelle hit it off with Ellie and Janine, and they were part of the vote split of like, okay, we're doing this many votes on Cassidy, and
but
this
then
many
like
votes
Dwight
on James
and Jesse didn't tell Noelle like where they were voting.
I don't know. Maybe they might have felt like that, and maybe we didn't see this. We'll ask Ellie about it tomorrow. That maybe they just really hit it off.
Yeah, so, but I'm like so much so that Noelle was going to go against her own alliance in where the vote was.
And also, don't forget, Owen went to Shipwheel Island with Noelle. Noelle, we saw briefly in like that first conversation at the beach where Noelle was telling Ellie and Janine about how Cody, he's crazy, he got beads and he brought them to tribal council. So I don't know, that there may have been a bond there, we don't know.
Yeah, but like how deep a bond? Like she voted, like she and Dwight were like we're together forever, and now like she spent a day with these people and it's like screw it, I'm gonna
look, we're trying to figure out what happened. We don't know that.
I'm saying your theory is terrible.
But theory is terrible.
I think that's the only
theory.
No, I don't know. That's why I came to you, Rob.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I think you're probably right. That's the only thing that makes sense. Maybe there was some reason she didn't want to vote against Ellie. And so she was, but then to vote against Cassidy just seems to create, tension.
Yeah. Okay. Then here's what I want to know from you, Stephen Fishbach. Was this a good move for Gabler? This is fun.
Can you assess?
This is fun.
It's interesting. Probably yes, because first of all, nobody takes Gabler seriously already, right? And if Gabler is going to win, he has to say, this is Gabler's move. No one is going to turn on Gabler now and say, oh my gosh, we've got to get out mastermind Gabler. If he's stuck with that Baca group to the end, he's not winning. He's not winning in that group. He has to kind of forge his own path. And, now he's got the merge vote. Historically, Rob, the person who in the edit is given the credit for the merge vote often goes on to win. So I think it may not be too soon to say Gabler is getting the definitive winner's edit.
Okay. I would love to also talk through with you who should get the most credit for this move. Certainly Gabler was the one that's, threw the snowball that started the avalanche. For sure. It would be disempowering to not give Gabler the credit. Like if you give anybody else the credit for the Ellie boot, that's like saying Gabler is not a human with it. You're just doing what Ellie did, which is taking away his agency as a player in this game. Okay, fine. That Gabler is the one that a lot of other people had to get on board with this. And I do not think that it was Gabler who was the person who put together this coalition that voted together. I think
so you think it's Ryan? Aha! I knew it. I knew you were a Ryan fan.
But I think
that's a big moment when Ryan goes to the Coco group and relays, hey, Ellie and Janine are voting for you guys.
So I agree with you. I think this was a great move, great night for Gabler, great move for Gabler. Okay,
and for Ryan.
Okay, let's just keep going down the list here. Was this a good move for Sammy?
Is this a good move for Sammy to get rid of Ellie?
Like what happens to these two guys now?
Yeah. That's the challenge. It is like, but in a way, it gives them, I don't know. Who knows? I guess let's have this conversation in 4 weeks. I do think it gives Gabler and Sammy some room to maneuver. It makes them look a little bit untrustworthy. You're not going to necessarily, the fact that they're immediately voting against their own allies definitely doesn't make, but I worked with people who immediately voted against their own allies at the merge, and people, you don't know where people's where the tribe tensions are. I don't think it's crazy to think that, they could then recover. Do I have hopes that Gabler or Sammy will win the game? Probably not, but I don't think this is necessarily a terrible position for them to be in because nobody is going to be worried about the Baca tribe right now.
I do wonder, I'm worried for Owen. The more we're talking it through, where I could see him being the person who
he's stuck by Ellie.
He wasn't on the right side of the numbers. That from an immunity perspective, I could see him being the threat if this group sticks together again. That Owen probably would be the person that I think might be the most likely to go home next after all this. Doesn't have an advantage. A lot of people know where the advantage is in that group, so he's kind of a safe person to put the votes on coming up for next time. I think that Carla played a big role in all of this. You saw that Carla was at the merge feast, couldn't believe what she was hearing during all of this, that, we saw where, James and Cassidy were having a lot of conversations, with Ellie, with Cody. It seems like that it was like a lot of the people at the merge feast, specifically Carla, Jesse as well, Dwight, Ryan. I think that these are the people that kind of had all of the information after.
Well, we didn't actually see Carla doing anything. And I'm a big Carla. Or maybe I'm misremembering. I'm a big Carla fan. I love Carla. I love her reaction. She's dead on about everything. I don't think we saw Carla doing anything so it's fun to give Carla agency here, but I think Ryan had more of a role than Carla did. And correct me if I'm misremembering something.
Well, I think so. Again, I think this was an ensemble cast that came here together.
Did we actually see James, Carla in the episode, in the text? Did Carla do anything?
Okay, well let me tell you.
Yeah.
Okay. So James was the one saying, okay, Ellie is going to vote out Cody and says that's what the move is going to do. Carla says, okay, well, no, that's actually not happening because Gabler,
Right.
he is the one who's committed to he's voting out Ellie. That's what he wants to do. Ryan, after I believe that Ryan walks up on a conversation where that Jesse and Cody are talking about what's going on, and then it sort of like gets like telephone game back to Cody. Hey, do you know Ellie is throwing your name out there?
Right.
Which it does. It is like she says she told Cody basically, not like I'm using his decoy vote, saying like, oh yeah, Coco's throwing your name out there. Cody's like, what? Oh my God. And so that then I think that when he found out that, okay, this is all coming from Ellie, she's the drama.
Well, Ellie, so you're saying basically like Ellie is the one who gets the most credit for Ellie's blind side.
Look, I think that there was a lot of moving parts here. So I think it's interesting. Do you fishy for Gabler? Is that official?
It's hard to justify, but truly, I don't know who else I would give it to. Like, I mean, the thing is, like, is this a remotely strategic move for Gabler? I mean, maybe. Like, do you think it is? Like, I think this actually advances Gabler's position in the game. Do you agree with that?
I mean, I think it definitely does. I think it would be hard to say it's not, but I think that it was also a vendetta for Gabler. He had the great line in the episode. He's like, I threw Ellie's name out there because I want to put Ellie's name out there.
yeah, exactly. I wrote that down. It was great. Yeah. It was like you could hear the question, like, well, so why did you throw Ellie's name out there? And it was like, because I wanted to throw Ellie's name out there. It was so great. It was so pure. I mean, the other thing we haven't talked about is I think Ellie reacted terribly when she found out about all this. She ran to Gabler, she got in a fight with him, she ran to Sammy and Owen, she got into fights with them. Classic Survivor wisdom is when you find out about this stuff, you gotta, play, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, let's fix this. How do I fix this? I can't believe it. Instead, she like berated her allies and
she was indignant.
She was indignant. And she's like, how could you? You screwed up. We're all doomed. Like, how dare you? Like, that's not gonna make them want to stick with you.
Yes. She definitely crumbled under the cross-examination from Gabler. Did not have good answers. Like, she really tried to do the thing of Gabler's like, so you didn't go through my bag? She's like, I did not go through your bag. I would not do it. Like, he's like, oh, so it was Janine? Like, I can't say.
Yeah.
I can't say.
I'm not that kind of person.
Yeah, I'm not the kind of person. That Janine's my best friend.
Right. Terrible.
Why would I tell somebody else's business?
Like, truly bad gameplay right there. Like, I mean, you're confronting this guy who's basically lobbying to get you out, and you're starting an argument with him about it. Like, you're never gonna convince him by berating him.
Yeah. And again, like, this is
I've been trying with you for like 10 years now. And
for sure. Never worked. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is what happened like all season long, where it's like, what are you talking about, Gabler? You're crazy. Like, that's not happening. Like, and it's just like, I really wonder if she had taken the approach, like you have said, and Gabler talks about his daughters quite a bit, where it's like, you know what, I screwed up. Like, how do we get out of this, Dad?
Right. Totally. Like, yes. He would love that.
All right.
That's exactly
Let's
it.
See.
He would have been so into that. Like, just like, that's what he wants, right? He wants respect. He wants to feel validated. And if you give that to him, suddenly he's going to be a puppy dog, based on my knowledge of Gabler.
Yeah. Sounds good to us.
Yeah. I believe it. I'm saying it.
Stephen, I know we're going to have a lot of questions from the audience, so let's start to bring some of those in as we talk through this. Yes.
That tribal council?
Yeah.
I am starting to feel like I've had enough of these like big sweeping generic statements at tribal council.
Sure.
How do we get tribal council to be, because I found myself like often in recent episodes, like totally zoning out of tribal council. I'll be like, oh no, I've got to talk about this with Rob soon, rewind. Like, what did he just say?
Yeah.
And like, I'll zone out like, I'll once again, I'll have to watch something 5 times before I realize, oh, that person didn't say anything at all. And to go from an episode that's so interesting and so filled with dynamics and so, so many
It was 10 minutes long, Tribal Council tonight.
It was a quarter of the episode, and like nobody said a single thing that was interesting.
Yes, I disagree. I feel like that there was a little bit of interesting commentary. I feel like that Sammy was like
that was good.
Some interesting things about how
don't play the idol if you really trust us.
Something like basically like misplaying the advantage shows that you don't have trust in us, and so I thought that was the one interesting thing. And I guess I like it's hard to get there without all of the other generic sort of stuff. But, there's just so much, especially in these last couple of seasons. We spent so much time at Tribal Council. And while we didn't have a million analogies here tonight, Survivor is like blah, blah, blah. There was just so much navel gazing in like, all right, so like Survivor, we're here, Tribal Council, everybody's so Stephen. How are you feeling tonight now that the game is individual now? What are you thinking?
I mean, so, I've got my gut, I've got my paranoia, but then I've got my head, and there's my heart and my ears, and I have a nose, and like my nose smells things too. And, I mean, it's just, Survivor. It's just so crazy.
What about all of the things that could happen? There's so many different possible things that could even take place.
Yeah, it's like we're all in a car together, and it's like I don't even know sometimes who's driving. Am I driving the car? Like, what is a car?
Wow, yeah. It's very interesting.
Yeah. But so, like, if there was like a rule, like just you got to keep people's names in your answer. Make every answer have another contestant's name in it, or edit out the ones that don't. Like, I feel like because, as we all know, Tribal Council goes on for a while, right? It's like an hour or two, maybe at least an hour. And Jeff does ask those questions of like, what do you think of everyone else here? What are the alliances? You have those specific questions at Tribal Council. And that's what's so interesting. We want to hear like the specifics.
Yeah.
There was a period of time where I think Jeff was particularly like really excited about these like big sweeping statements about what Survivor means, but we need to move past those.
Yeah. Who is this for? I feel like there's one person that really likes this segment, and I think that for the rest of us, I think it's sort of like all right, can we get on with this? Like, why we're spending so much time on this?
It's so boring, and I got to tell you, like, make it like 2:30, make it 6 minutes, instead of 10 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, Steven, and when you go back and watch the older episodes, like we did last year when we went through the whole catalog, in these older seasons, like Tribal Council is a couple minutes.
Yeah. And I think that works very well for the show, unless there's something like unusual. I mean, it used to be like, 10-minute Tribal Council, something big is going to happen here. Now it's like, oh my God, we're going to have to hear like, 10 metaphors or 10, generic exclamations of excitement. And yeah, I mean, it can be because the episode was so good and there was so much fun. And, you knew you were just skimming the surface because it's the merge and it was moving so quickly and there's so many shifting. Like they could have used those 4 minutes. I would love to see 4 minutes on the beach.
Yep, for sure. Okay. We're going to start to bring in your questions. If you have any more questions for us, you can post them in the chat. Also, I have something else fun coming up this weekend. We're going to be back at the Survivor Academy. It's the show where we talk about what you need to learn from Survivor 43 before you go out on the island. It's a 5-part series for the patrons of Rob Has a Podcast. This weekend, Matt Scott will join me, and we are going to go in focus on episodes 3, 4, 5, and 6, the end of the pre-merge game. And so we are going to get together this weekend and talk about all the lessons that are the takeaways from what we've seen this season for future players. That's for the patrons of Rob's Podcast. If you want to sign up and become a patron and get everything we have to offer, you can go to robhasawebsite.com/patron. Okay, Stephen, we've got a lot of great questions. And why don't we start off? We have a friend of the show in the chat tonight.
A Fox.
Okay. Our great friend Christian Hubicki is here, watching us on Twitch. Shout out to Christian, was very into the recent Mole season on Netflix. He said to me, this feels like a very classic 3-tribe merge. 2 tribes gang up on the bigger 3rd tribe. We've been given the story that Vessi and Baka are BFF. They hate Coco. They want to take Coco out. That in actuality, was it the 2 tribes of 4 that ganged up on the Tribe of Five?
I think that had to be a factor here. I think that, Ellie made such a show, right? And then Gabler put Ellie out there. And I think the other two tribes had to think, hey, this evens the numbers. I think Christian's absolutely right. This now, like, that's one more reason to vote for Ellie. I think there were a bunch of reasons, right? Gabler made her an easy target. Her kind of scheming made her an easy target. And then why not? Why not like even it all out? 4-4-4.
Okay. How about another question from Christian?
Yeah, let's do all Christian show.
Okay. All right. I don't think people would complain. All right, Stephen. How about this one?
Here's a question for the sweater duo, says Christian. With 8-9 relative strangers per contestant, 2 no votes, 3 idols, a steal a vote, and all the shots in the dark, and they just piled the votes on Ellie. Do you think too much chaos means safer play? Well, we have talked about this a lot, Rob. What do you think?
Yeah, it's certainly something that we've talked about with Survivor. Taryn talks about it all the time with Big Brother. When you create an environment that is too chaotic, when it's too twisty, the players just are kind of afraid to make big, aggressive moves because they do not feel like the ground underneath them is sturdy enough to try to do something so bold. Yes. So often, like, okay, well, let me just do the safest thing that we have. And in this case, it might have been just pile the votes on Ellie.
It is kind of funny that you think like in any other merge with these sort of numbers, there would have been a more aggressive split. But obviously, I mean, it seemed like there was things very much in flux. And I also think that the show's abbreviated time frame affects this too, where there's probably just less time to get a good plan together. So you kind of have to just like dogpile and cross your fingers. But yeah, we certainly talked about this with the last 2 seasons where there were so many twists and turns. We saw very safe conventional play for the most part. And that we speculated was because the players don't, you don't know what's coming next. And so you have to do the safest thing, the most, rather than take a big swing.
Okay. This is a question from one of our great listeners. Tyler wants to know, do you think the players have a growing awareness of the pattern of so many women going out of the game? I wonder if that's eventually going to hit a tipping point. I have been doing a mini podcast talking about the preview for or what I expect to happen on each episode of Survivor. And I had thought that Cassidy was going to be the person who might go out because I thought that, okay, well, if they're going to look at Coco and, okay, who's the person who might be least likely to have an idol? But I said that the thing that just gives me pause is that at some point will the women say like, hey, we can't write down another woman's name in this game. That does not seem like that was a concern tonight, both from Ellie, who I think wanted James, but was willing to write down Cassidy's name. Also, from then also, Carla and Cassidy seem to have no problem going for Ellie.
Noelle votes Cassidy.
And Noelle voted for Cassidy. There are only 4 women left in the game. 5 out of the first 6 people to go out of the game have been women.
And unfortunately, that means they actually have less leverage to say, hey, not another woman. But, it does seem that all of the players have to be aware of that at some point. I mean, only one guy has gone out of the game so far. Has that ever been the case? I mean, I know there was a point where it seemed like it was like mirroring like the Bone or San Juan del Sur, right? Like where there's a lot of women who are out at the start. I mean, I still have still am like decently sure I think Carla's going to win. Like that's still my winner pick. And maybe that will redeem this, but it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I mean, the wild thing about San Juan del Sur is that we end up with all women in the final 3 after a bunch of women go out early to start off the game. So, sometimes that pendulum does swing all the way back, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm surprised that there. I mean, again, I'm sure it is
but
something.
San Juan
del Sur
was nothing like this, right? Like San Juan del Sur, you had. The first 2 votes were women, and then you had, Rocker, you had Drew Christie, Dale was right there.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, I mean,
I think Survivor Gabon also had that to some degree also. Yeah. But yeah, I think this is probably, I think, and I don't have the stats in front of me. I'm sure that people will be running those numbers and you'll see them. But I have to think that this is probably, I don't think there's another season where 5 out of the first 6 people to go out of the game are women.
Is it 5 out of 6 now? No, it's more than that, right? It's 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's 5 out of 6. Actually, it does look like Gabon was. Sorry, my brain is very. It looks like I was looking at the Wikipedia for Gabon. That's the kind of service we provide here. It looks like 3, 4, 5 out of the first. 5 out of the first 6 were in fact women. So there you go.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So look, anytime you can recreate Survivor Gabon, you got to do it.
I love Survivor. I mean, I'm an outlier. Hey, what's interesting about Survivor Gabon, as Joe Reed recently wrote in his article, is that it's the last time ever that a contestant was in the minority at the merge vote and won the game.
Okay.
Yeah. Charlie Herschel, the merge boot of that season. So historic merge boot, Charlie Herschel.
Okay. Stephen, let's take some more questions. Okay. How about here's a question from the Pooh Haker. You want to take this one?
The Pooh Haker wants to know, did they set up the rock poll so that each team had an even split of men and women? Or was it coincidence that each team had 2 women and 1 woman and got the gray rock?
That in season 41 and 42, the groups that what's that?
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean
season 41 and 42, the groups that competed in the merge challenge were kind of lopsided. And here Jeff even commented like, "Hey, looks like a fair matchup to me." It looked like out of the bag that they were drawing, I don't see how they could have potentially split up. So I don't know if they got better at splitting up the groups or if they just got very lucky this time.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen both happen, right? Like you're saying in those situations, it was super lopsided. I mean, super lopsided, sometimes it's really even. What, I actually think I would have chosen red. Where would you have gone if you had to choose, if you were in Noelle's shoes?
I think that she probably went with the group that had 2 people from her own tribe, and the other side had only 1 person from her tribe. And so I think she says, okay, flip a coin. Let me go with let me be at least with 2 people from Bessie.
But in terms of like pure challenge competitiveness, did you have like a sense of?
I'd have to take a look at what the breakdown was. All right. Yeah. Here's a great question, Stephen Fishbach. I can't wait to talk about this. Yeah. All right. Jill Robinson wants to know, is Gabler's idol officially over? He technically went to tribal council, but wasn't up for elimination. Stephen, I have a feeling about this that I feel strongly about the answer to this question. I don't know if I'm right, but I know where I would decide on this.
Oh, tell me. You can't leave with that.
Well, do you have a strong feeling one way or the other?
I have a weak feeling.
Okay, what's your weak feeling?
Oh, wow. You're sort of setting me up for failure here. My weak feeling is that the idol is over. Gabler went to tribal council. Sometimes people go to tribal council, for example, at the final 5, and they have an immunity necklace. And so they're immune in that situation. And hey, their idol is still done. They don't get like an extra idol day because they happen to be immune at that tribal council. No, is it the next time that you go to tribal council, the idol is done. Gabler could have played that idol for Ellie. So it was an idol that was technically in play. And I think that means that it's done now.
Precisely. Yeah. The idol was you were perfect, Stephen.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. That's I guess.
So nervous.
Finally, after all this time, you get something right.
Yeah.
But I think that Gabler's idol is over. That he got to take it to tribal councils. Yeah. He was part of the group that was not eligible for the merge. Too bad, so sad. I'm sorry. You didn't have the chance. Yeah, lucky you. Just like it's the same as if he won there was no individual immunity. He won immunity. Right. And that's it. And now in the same way, his idol was live, as you said. He could have played it for somebody else. And so that I wish that they would have definitively said, like, okay, well, Gabler, I'm going to tribal council tonight. This is the last night I can play my idol, and give us something else with it. But I agree. I think that Gabler's idol is officially over. And if it's not, I'm going to be annoyed about it.
Yeah, because it's very misleading verbiage there if it's not.
Mm-hmm. Let's go. We'll go back and we'll check the parchment. Go through his bag, Stephen. Go in his bag.
Oh, no.
Go in Gabler's bag.
I've seen where that goes.
Go read it.
Oh, no.
And go tell me, what does it say?
I don't want to get gobbled by
every tribal council that you attend? or that you have only 2 tribal councils that you are vulnerable to be voted out.
No, I'm sure it said 10, right? I mean, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, so that was certainly the question of the night. I mean, I think we all were wondering that. Not apparently you. You were not wondering at all.
Well, I thought about it and I thought it through because so many people had asked us that question on Twitter.
Yeah.
And that we are in agreement. The Survivor Know-It-Alls officially say Gabler's idol is done.
Hey, Rob, speaking of idols, are all of does everyone know where all the idols are now? I was a very funny scene where Noelle was telling Ellie like about what like a kooky free spirit Cody was because he collected all the beads.
Yeah,
that was a very funny beat.
That was funny.
But like they all know, right? I mean, like, do they all know about Carla's beads?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that came up. Now again, it's also interesting that Ellie was the person that put that all together. Now she shared that with Janine. Now did Janine share that with Owen? How many people know that information? Right. And also was there any conversation with Coco? That was a very funny scene about where Owen was going through about who has what, and he needed to get the Chiron on the screen. Owen is obsessed with the Chirons on Survivor. Remember, he was in the first episode. He said that he wanted to have his name in the opening credits with his name up on the screen. So he is definitely loving all the text on the screen.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah. So I don't think that there is anybody that knows everything. I think that eventually, knowledge is power, they say, Stephen.
I've heard that.
So, really nice. We'll see where it all goes. Okay. Couple of more questions. Let's see. We talked about is Janine better off without Ellie? Okay. How about from Deanna? Has kind of a deeper question. Talk about when you feel targeted. Is it possible to, or even a good move, to lay aside a small tribe strategy for merge strategy?
What does that mean? Is merge strategy what Ryan did?
I guess so. I really do wish that we would have seen more of Ryan's perspective on. He got totally blindsided. He got one line, and then that was it from Ryan.
I mean, is the suggestion that maybe Ellie should have kind of taken a step back and said, okay, this whole Baca mess is unsalvageable. Let's see what I can do with these other groups. Like, what does that mean? What is small tribe versus merge strategy?
So I think that if I had to guess what Deanna is asking for, it seems like that maybe there was an opportunity for Ellie to sort of like reverse course. Right. And it seemed like that she had some questions about what was going on. And I guess it's unclear if it's she was really pushing or if then the rest of Baca got back together and was like, no, stick to the plan. This is what we're doing. And then she is now the one who is now in danger.
Well, I really think, too, that, how indignant she was with her allies just reaffirmed their desire to vote for her. Because then they're like, oh, my gosh, this girl is out for me. I got to vote her out. It wasn't just there's tension on this tribe and we have to rally together. It's she is furious at me and she's going to cause trouble for me. Now I'm like doubly committed, and it seemed like certainly that was true for Gabler. And it seemed like that was true for Sammy, too, where he really seemed to think, oh my gosh, this is too chaotic. We have to get rid of Ellie or we're all in trouble. And so, I do think, I'm not totally sure if this is the question, but I do think there's a level of, trying to solve things or finagle the politics within your own tribe kind of may have cost her, in terms of trying to, as I've said, berate her allies. Never the right move. If you were ever caught with your hand in the cookie jar, you say, I'm sorry, because, pretending it didn't happen is not going to work. You're like, oh my God, you are right. It was a different time. I screwed up. Like, how do we fix this? And I think, is that true, Rob? I'm saying that like, as though it's some like great, idea, but is that true? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I feel like that, coming clean about what you were doing, one, if you get caught, but even better before you get caught.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that those are like moments where people feel like, oh my God, like you know, like again, if you are caught like dead to rights, like maybe you know, it is not as effective, but certainly it seemed like that for Ellie, what she was trying to do was not working, compounded with, you know, it was the double whammy for Ellie ultimately tonight, where Gabler was the person who wanted to, you know, go after somebody from his own tribe. Nobody from the other groups was even considering anything like that. So Baca had a weakness, had a vulnerability. And then on top of that, we talked about how Ellie just overplayed the merge so much, where she was throwing out names from, she would throw out a name from Coco and a name from Vessi, which made it very easy for Coco and Vessi to get on the same page and say, okay, let's go with this plan to take out Ellie.
Right. Yeah, just too much too fast. And yeah, like you said, you know, if she wants Cody to be the default boot, you know, I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
And again, a tough night for Ellie overall on the show, but I loved having Ellie part of the show.
Very fun.
I regret nothing making her my winner pick. I thought she had a lot of fun skills. Would much rather see a person go out of the game for overplaying and playing way too hard than somebody who is not there to play hard at all.
Right. 100%.
Okay. All right, Stephen, we've got plenty more Survivor coverage coming your way about this wonderful episode of Survivor. Of course, I'll get the chance to talk to Ellie on Thursday, and then I will talk with the legend, Sari Fields, see what she thinks about all this. And then I'll have Karishma with me on the Survivor Feedback Show. That's going to be at 8:30 p.m. Eastern live on Friday. Plus, don't forget about everything else we have coming your way this weekend, including the Survivor B&B, Survivor Global, Why Blank Lost, the Survivor Stock Watch, and the Purple Pants Podcast Survivor News Edition. All right. Okay. Then on Thursday, I will have a recap of the latest episode of The Amazing Race. The teams are on the second part of a leg through Jordan. And there's, look, you're going to want to find out, Stephen, this is upsetting. Team has going to get a positive COVID test. So we will talk about all that and much more as we recap tonight's episode of The Amazing Race.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. And then we'll have an exit interview with a team as well coming up. Then, Stephen, the Real Love Boat rolling right along. So we will get the chance to check out the Real Love Boat as Jenny, Kirsten, and myself are going to talk about a challenge that looks like we've got people blindfolded and smelling each other.
Classic.
Does that not entice you, Stephen?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see them try that on Survivor. You could do that, right?
Very smelly.
You would know. Yeah, and you would know who everybody was.
I mean, I don't know. I think on Survivor, everyone's so smelly, you just can't smell anything. You know, you just get so used to like funk. You know, and then like the audio people come and like they like, you know, can't
make fun of
you because like, they're like so disgusting. Really, I can't smell anything.
Yeah. Okay. Stephen, we close out our coverage of the Mole this week with our final Mole Monday roundtable. Had a lot of fun with Josh, Jessica Leese, and Brooklyn Zed breaking that down. So check that out if you are late to finishing the Mole. Then, of course, we'll have more recaps of Love is Blind, week number 2, as Mary and Asia are going to be back for another week of the Love is Blind wrap up. Okay. Love is Blind. People wearing blindfolds on the Love Boat.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. It's all connected. Of course, I told you about the Survivor Academy coming up this weekend. Of course, you can get everything going on in our Patreon podcast feed. I told you we're going to be live with Sari on Thursday afternoon. The patrons can be there and ask questions live. That's going to be at 6 p.m. Eastern. Access to the Rob Has a Podcast Facebook community and Discord and everything else we have going on in the greatest reality TV community in the world. That's all at robhasawebsite.com/patron. And of course, make sure you don't miss any of our fine podcasts that are coming your way completely for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcast.
Did you ever think about giving it a different name? Instead of like Rob as a pod, did you ever think of like Entertainzor, like some kind of like big
Entertainzor?
I don't know. I'm not, some sort of like entertainment, like.
Is that taken? Let me go on GoDaddy right now.
Like Inside TV. That's probably taken.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's Entertainzor. I'm the Entertainzor.
I'm just thinking, like, did you ever think about, like, I want some, like, big, Watch Mojo kind of name?
Watch Mojo. I think that's taken.
I think, that one is taken. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I never did. Like, I had the website first, and I have I don't have any, like a catchy last name like you. And so,
Cesternino, it would be great for someone who's like loves to watch TV.
It's hard to spell. It's hard to spell. So I was like, oh, well, what? And so, I said, okay, well, what about robhasawebsite.com? And then the podcast came second.
Yeah. Well, Entertainzor.
Entertainzor. Okay. Let me see if it's out there. Okay.
You're going to be so mad when Entertainzor blows up.
Okay. Maybe we'll get the Entertainzor merch going. Okay. All right. robswebsite.com/subscribe. All right, Stephen.
Fishy for Gabler. I'm going to do it. Right? Why not?
Already.
Fishy
for
Gabler.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We don't like to be repetitive on the Entertainzor. Okay. Stephen, what else is coming for you?
Tomorrow's my daughter's birthday. It's a big day. Gotta give some presents.
Happy birthday, Margot. And happy birthday to our own Sam Moore tonight.
Hey, that's right. Sam Moore, major birthday for Sam Moore. Hey, happy birthday, Sam Moore.
Yes. Stephen, now I'm very excited about what's coming up next Wednesday, although you and I will not be together for the recap. You will be holding things down here live for everybody right after the episode, as Stephen Fishbach will be live with a great Survivor co-host. It's going to be can we announce this?
Yeah, why not?
Your castmate from Survivor Second Chances, PG Law, will be live with Stephen Fishbach next Wednesday night.
Wow. Wild.
Okay.
It's going to be fun.
That'll be a fun one.
Yeah, I think it'll be really fun. And then, you can tune into your thing, if one must. Afterwards.
And then, because I'm going to be at the very prestigious National Press Club, where we have a sold out show, 500 RHAP listeners in attendance. When we'll be across the street from the White House in Washington, D.C. at the National Press Club. And we will be breaking down the episode. That will not be streamed live. That will be a recorded show. And we will post that for everybody on Thursday next week. So
who are some of the guests? Can't tell me. No surprise guests. Okay.
Lots of surprises. Too many to name. Okay. But that's going to be coming up in Washington, D.C. Next Thursday night.
Jimmy T?
Is Jimmy T going to be there? No, that's not us. Yeah. But it is a sold out show. I believe that we have a wait list if there are any cancellations. And so check out the Rob as a Podcast Twitter account for more information about that. Thank you so much for joining us. Stephen, anything else tonight?
Burton?
He was with us in
I know,
Texas.
Trying to name names that might show up. Burton was great.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy T was great.
Jimmy T was with us in Boston, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's great.
So we've been all around this country.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye. Entertainzor forever.